This topic, though, come on. I'm Lisa Concepcion, certified professional love life coach and founder of LoveQuestCoaching.com. And tonight I am talking about, ladies, do you really intimidate men? And do you want to know the reasons why you intimidate men? I'm going to dive into this one tonight full on, and we're going to give you some good nuggets and some good information so that you can understand why you lovely ladies are so intimidating to men. Okay, so let's begin. Let's dive right in. I'm going to just get on in it now. Okay. Number one, he thinks that you can do better. Yeah. You intimidate them when they think deep down they're looking at you and they're like, she can do so much better than me. She could do better. So look, ladies, when you're with a guy and he says something like, I don't want to hold you back. Or, remember me when you move on, just remember me when, kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So look, the object here is to find a man or attract a man who would never say that. You want to be with a guy who's like, you know what? I know my value. I know my worth. Yeah, you're a beautiful woman, and I'm looking for a partner. I want to be a team. There's no competition here. You do your thing, I do my thing. We both come together, we create amazing things together, and we rule the world, right? We are our little mastermind group of two, We're gonna come together and do great big things. The problem is that, ladies, you're kind of dating down. You're dating down. Right? So when you're dating down, you're kind of hanging with dudes who they're not as educated as you are, or they're not as accomplished as you are, or they simply may not have an abundance mindset like you have. You're like, look, I found these amazing shoes and they were half price. I'm so excited. And they're like, that's amazing. And the guy says to you, oh, how fantastic. How much were they? And you're like, they were $550. Isn't that amazing? They're normally $1,200. And the guy is looking at you like literally hyperventilating because he's like, I would never in a million years imagine spending $550 on shoes. So see, when you don't have a meeting of the minds about money like that, you're going to have problems. So that is number one, is the guy looks at you and he sees that you have your shit so together that deep down he's thinking she can do better, right? Okay, number two, kind of goes into the thing that I was talking about. You're more accomplished than he is. Maybe you wrote books. Maybe you're, I don't know, you're like this big marketer and people know you and recognize you out when you're out and about, or you make more than him. Your career is one where you're respected and you're like giving lectures places, or not even, maybe you just accomplished something really cool. You have a digital business, you're killing it, right? And he's looking at you like, so while I go work for the man from 9 to 6, you're going to the gym, you're living your life, you're going out with the dog, you're going shopping, you're lunching, and then you're working a little bit in between, but you're living a really well life, and you're really accomplished, and I'm kind of just slaving to the man. That is going to intimidate them. They're going to be like, oh, she's an entrepreneur. She works for herself. She's brave. She takes risks. All those kinds of things, intimidating, because it's only going to magnify their fears where they're playing small in their life, right? So it can be very intimidating, right? So the other one, which flows into this too. You can intimidate men when you are more financially secure and financially well off than they are. And here's how that works. Let's say you're dating and you meet somebody and the guy suggests to go to a certain restaurant and you do better And you're like, yeah, that's not a restaurant that I'm interested in going to. And, he's like, but the burgers are so good there. Like, can't we just go someplace low key? And you're like, yeah, I don't do low key. It's not my jam. I want like linens on the table. I want nice. And he's like intimidated because he's like, well, I can't win with this chick because I can't go to these 5-star places every weekend and have it be this big hoity-toity thing, and that's going to intimidate him. So, you live better. He comes to your place and you have, more square footage, furniture's organized, everything is on point, and he's living, in something less desirable. So these are little ways, and guys do pay attention to this, where they get a little intimidated, okay? So I'm not sitting here saying, dim your sparkle, lie about what you earn, downgrade the places you go to. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is own who you are and date accordingly at that level, right? Know who you are, know what your standards are, and date at your level or higher even, because you want to aspire, right? You want to get around people who are going to bump you up a notch. So the other thing that intimidates guys is when they see that you're no BS, you are no bullshit, you are not tolerating any shadiness, any disrespect, any of that, you're not having it. And you're really clear on your boundaries, and you're very, very clear on what's tolerable, what's acceptable, and what's not. You just do not have time for bullshit. So that can intimidate guys. It could be like, wow, like this, I gotta come. Two things will happen with this type of woman. Either they'll say, man, like, I gotta bring my A game with her. Now, if you're delivering this in a feminine way, like if you know your boundaries and you have your standards and you have confidence and you're just like, I'm not going to be impressed and lured by anything. I'm looking at the person. You come straight with me, I come straight with you, right? So when you are communicating that gracefully and firmly but pleasant and very feminine, then you get the guy who says, wow, I have to bring my A game. I can't mail it in with her. I can't do the typical take her to 2 fancy restaurants and then cook for her and then I get her in bed. Yeah, not this girl. She's different. I gotta work for it. I gotta really show her what I'm about. I have to respect her. I have to adore her even. I have to really care about her and show consistently that I'm into her. I have to be very consistent. And that's when, I'm a little intimidated by that. She can cut me loose. I could end up liking this girl 4 weeks in, and she could end up being like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. I gave it a shot. Thanks, bye. So see, it could be a little intimidating. So when you have boundaries and you're very clear on them and you have standards and you're clear on those and you communicate it in a way that is feminine, then it brings out the A game. But if you do it in a way that's bitchy and aggressive and emasculating, then it's intimidation, but it's in a repelling way. It's not going to inspire a guy to want to give more to you or cherish you and chase you and court you and pursue you, better said, because chasing, nobody wants to chase anybody. The only thing I'm chasing is tequila with lime. So, you want that man, that delicious alpha king, to chase, pursue. So delicious, pursue. Chase the tequila with the lime. Do not chase people. So that is that with the intimidation factor. So the next reason, the next way that women intimidate men is when the energy is repelling. So let's say you have resting bitch face, right? Like if you walk down the street and you notice men will say, smile. They're like asking you to smile. When I lived in New York, and I was walking down the street in New York, men would tell me to smile all the time. I had the walk with purpose, the pensive face, the typical Northeast New York metro area, like seriousness and work is everything, and just this constant, pensive, gotta go get it kind of face. Intensity is like an intense face. So I found that in that environment, I was probably with resting bitch face often, where guys would be like, smile. And even when I was younger and I would go out in the city, or I would go out in like Hoboken, New Jersey, or Long Island, or whatever, I always had like this serious, like, don't mess with me kind of face, And that eased up considerably once I moved out of the New York tri-state area. And more so even once I did my self-love work and really got into my faith and just loving up on myself, curing myself of codependency, realizing that I am fully responsible for my own happiness. And I stopped being afraid. I stopped being guarded and afraid that I was going to be hurt or something. So now I live much more openly, smiling all the time, because nothing can hurt me. It's impossible, right? It's like nothing can hurt me. So you kind of get happy. You just like, you're like, why do I don't have any reason to be with resting bitch face, because I have nothing to be afraid of or bitchy about. So that energy is very repelling. It could be very threatening and intimidating to men. Like if you're a banging hot woman, but you're standing in a corner and you're just like sizing up the room and you're like quiet and you're just like looking at the room with an energy of judgment. Like, who's gonna have the balls to come up and talk to me, right? As opposed to, that's intimidating and repelling, but it's also a different energy where if you go into a same situation where you're like looking around and you're smiling and your energy and your mind isn't saying, which one of you assholes is going to have the balls to come up and step to this, versus, oh, everybody looks so nice. There's so many nice people. Oh, what a good crowd. I wonder how many friends I'm going to make at this thing tonight. I wonder who I'm going to meet. See the difference in the energy, right? Like when you're like opportunity versus let's see, right? Like one's skepticism, one's optimism. So that is definitely a thing that intimidates men. So many times the guys that I coach, oh my God, the guys that I coach, they say all the time, it's so hard to approach women. And now with COVID, forget it, it's even harder. But they say, how do you know? Like, how do you know that they want to be approached? Women are very intimidating these days, just in their energy and the way they carry themselves. So I asked them, I go, well, like, what would be the thing that would get you to reach out to a woman, right? Because I know a lot of people connect on apps, and they also connect on social media. So like you could be in Facebook and someone can see a picture of you, and that could interest them and pique their curiosity about who you are enough to slide into like your DM or something and say hi. But if all of your pictures are like vampy, where you're like, and you're not like, laughing and funny and having a good time and dancing and whatever, one's a very repelling, closed energy, all about trying too hard. And the other is just like open and fun. And that's the person that's going to attract more people, right? So that's how women intimidate guys. They intimidate guys through their energy. If you don't have an open possibility energy, like I'm going out today in the world to run errands, to take my dog to the groomer, and to drop off some stuff that I have to send back to Amazon, and I have to wash my car, get the inside vacuumed, whatever. And who knows who I'm going to meet in my adventures today. I'm open to meeting great people everywhere I go, right? So I started really cultivating that energy. And it happens. I meet amazing people everywhere I go. It's great, right? So I don't care about moving to a new city. I'll pick my shit up and move in a second because I know that I have an open energy. I'm not intimidating anybody. You know, I used to be very intimidating and people would say it. But now what I love is both men and women are taking to me in this energy, a more open, not Northeast energy. Now I'm Florida energy, sunny, shiny beach, nice, relaxed. So Brenda Rogers weighs in and says, hey, did you go back to watch football with those cute guys on the patio? Yeah, the other video that I did with the cute, like, 20-somethings, they were adorable on the patio in my development, my community. We have this beautiful, very luxurious pool area with outdoor kitchens and TV screens. It's phenomenal. And there were these guys out there. And no, I did not go back. I had other plans, but they were friendly and sweet. They're just new guys who moved into the community. And I ended up having other plans. I did watch football, but I did not watch it there. So another final reason you intimidate men is because of your masculine energy. You're so in your masculine energy. And people in the West, women in the West, Western culture, wow, we are so thrusted into our masculine energy, like all the time. We're getting it done. We're going to work. We have to work. We work, work, work. And so our physiological composition is such that we are in go mode all the time. So it's very hard to downshift from that. So when you are out on dates or out with your spouse or whatever, engaging with a man, it can be very intimidating because it's as if he's hanging out with another masculine energy. So what you want to do is you want to be able to exist in your masculine when you have stuff to do. It's obvious. We all have things to do. We all have careers. We all have things that we need to get done. But you also want to be able to leave that at the workplace, or for many people, in the computer, shut laptop, makes all the masculine energy go away. Bye-bye laptop, bye-bye Zoom. I go away, I zoom away. And then you want to do something that I call is a segment pivot. You want to pivot into a new segment of your life. So all day long, let's say I was in that side of my home working on the computer, doing my manifestation list of the things doing every day. Oh my goodness, this, that, get it done, right? And then little Taz, my dog, comes walking in and he gives me his little face because he wants to go and get fed and go outside and make his poopy and do all his things. Okay, so now I shut down the computer. I like give it, this is it for the day. Maybe I'll come back on in the evening. But I take a second to breathe in and just breathe out the day. Breathe out that masculine energy. Just be like, okay, I did things. I accomplished a lot. This feels good. Now I'm going to chill out and I'm going to be feminine and I'm going to be nurturing to my little doggy, my little sweetie bee who wants to go outside. And it's still an action, like I'm still taking action, but it's an enjoyment. I'm not doing it from a place of, oh, another thing that I have to do, I have to walk the dog. I'm now doing it from a very feminine, like, I get to walk my dog, yay, my sweetie bee, and I'll pet him. I might sit on the floor for a second or, a couple of seconds with him and scruffle him up and pet him and stuff, just to like shift the energy from the masculine to now the more receiving, right? I'm receiving the love from my dog. I'm receiving the joy of bonding with him over a walk. So Masculine is doing and giving. Feminine is receiving. It's receiving. It's a receiving energy. So be aware of that, because it's very intimidating to men when you are in your masculine. That's why, check this out. Learn things all the time. It's crazy. Do you ever notice that when men and women are cooking together in the kitchen, they tend to bicker? And the reason is, putting a meal together, as fun as it is, it lends itself to competing masculine energies. So you'll get somebody telling the other person how to do something. And the other person's like, no, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it this way. And it's two masculine energies because you are doing something, a task together. So the best way to approach cooking, if you want to have a masculine, feminine type of energy happening, is perhaps you take turns. One person cooks, the other person cleans up. This way, you're both giving and receiving, but you're not at each other's like this while you're trying to prepare the meal together. Another solution is get a really big kitchen so that one person is on completely the other end and you're not bumping into each other, and one person is rocking out the sides and the veggies, and the other person the salad, and the other person's handling the steak. Divide it up. For real. I mean, you don't need, I'm being facetious, you don't really need like, a gargantuan kitchen, but maybe take turns, right? Maybe don't come in the kitchen if you have a small kitchen, because this is masculine, feminine energy, right? And what happens is a lot of times the women, they'll cook the whole meal, and that puts the man in the feminine, because he's receiving the meal. And the women think that they're being nurturing. Oh, I'm feeding my family. No, this is why women who work all day hate to cook, because they want to be put in their feminine. When they worked all day, they're in their masculine. When they get home, they want to receive. They want the feet to be rubbed. They want neck rub. They want to cuddle up on the couch and get scratches to the head. They want a meal prepared, right? So that's where there is that butting of heads, because everybody has been thrusted into this culture where all we do is work. The gender roles have been completely turned on its ass. And so now women are masculine all day long, and then they come home and they want to receive. But the men, they were working all day. And so they come home and they're like, well, what the hell are we going to do? What am I going to do, cook for you? Kidding me? So what happens is they cook together and they end up bickering and fighting in the kitchen because they both are exhausted. And when you are tired, typically it puts you in a feminine energy. It means that you want to recharge, you want to receive more energy because you feel depleted. If you're operating in your masculine energy too much, ladies, you're going to be intimidating to men, but you're also going to be exhausted. And tired, exhausted energy is not, it's a very low energy. It brings the room down, right? If you're on a date and you're in a low energy because you're exhausted all the time, that energy is going to come out. You're going to exude that. And so what I suggest you do is, if you are dating and you're actively dating, try your best to schedule dates when you are in your optimal energy. That's the only thing I can tell you to do. I mean, you need to be in an optimal energy to feel good about yourself while on a date. And if you are not that, you could end up intimidating a guy. Another final way that women intimidate men, and it kind of wraps everything up that I spoke of earlier, it's they talk about themselves as if they're on an interview, and they lead with their occupation. So I'm going to give you a quick example of how I work with my lady bosses that I coach, all these type A go-getter women, rule the world women. They're amazing. But what I coach them around is how they describe their livelihoods. So a lot of women talk about what they do in a very masculine way. And the way to shift that, if there's one thing you can take away from this video, a little tip, is if you want to explain what you do for a living on a date in a way that doesn't lower what you do at all, you're not dumbing yourself down at all. But what you're going to do is you're going to speak about the why. You're not going to speak about the what. You're going to speak about the why. What do I mean? You're not going to speak about what you do. You're going to speak about why you do it and why you like it, why you find it fulfilling. Now, if you're not fulfilled by your job, then you have another bigger problem, and that's probably why you're so masculine and depleted. And I help people with that too. So it's very interesting to take stock of that. So I'm going to give you an example of when I was back in the early 2000s, I was working in public relations. Okay, perfect example. So when I was working in public relations, I'll give you an example of how I would talk about what I do. So I work for a global public relations firm. I'm in charge of media relations strategy. So what that means is if I am trying to get this Sharpie highlighter on Good Morning America, I come up with the strategy for how to do that. I tell the interesting story about it, the new technology, how it's ergonomic, how it writes upside down on the moon, like all of these things. I know how to tell that story. Okay, wonderful, but masculine, right? Even though it's bubbly and it's fun and it's outgoing, okay, great. But it's very masculine. Now, let me give you the same example, but told in a feminine way. So, Lisa, what do you do for work? So, I work in public relations, and I really like it because I get to help people learn about different medicines. So, I do pharmaceutical PR. So I get to look at science and I get to interpret it so that people watching at home, they can understand about their health. And it makes me feel so good to be able to do that because the work I do is really important because somebody can be watching the TV and they can see something that I did and it can inspire them to go to their doctor and get a checkup. And that's just, it's an inadvertent way of being altruistic, I guess. So I really like it. See the difference? One is about what I'm doing and the other one is how I'm feeling about what I'm doing, if that makes any sense. So anyway, this is what I help people to do. I'll give you another example. I had a very intimidating woman because of her profession. She works for herself and she is a day trader / financial planner. So she can do both. And she does very well for herself. And she plus has her own autonomous lifestyle. She could go wherever she wants, right? Wherever she has a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection, she could pretty much rule the planet. So when she talks about what she does, she said, I would go out with guys and I would say I'm a day trader and I'm a financial analyst and I also help people, manage their money. And she would see the guys be like, instantly like, oh, like that, right? So she goes, how can I possibly talk about what I do in a way that doesn't scare men off? And I said, well, let's brainstorm about why you do what you do. Like, why do you do it? Aside from the thrill of the trading and the more adrenaline rush of it, let's get into your feminine and let's look at the end result of what you do. What benefit do you serve for others? Like, what is the service aspect of this? And she was like, oh my God, I never spoke of it that way before. There's so much. And she started to just list out, like, from a place of service. Oh my God, I can help people retire. I save marriages even when people don't have their finances in order. And, she started to really get into her feeling place about what she did. And I coached her around speaking up, and we wrote a whole new intro paragraph about what I do. We gave her message points, and it started to work. And what was interesting was that when she stepped into her feminine more, she started to attract super masculine men. And before, she was attracting a lot of beta males, so she was getting a lot of guys who were not open to commitment. They didn't want to get married, and you know, they'd hang out with her and they'd be with her for like a year, and then when she wanted to take it to another level, they would bounce, or they would show her that they're not interested in that, and she'd end up like breaking up with them. So once she stepped into her feminine though, and really started to roll full feminine and got very clear about what exactly she wanted, she started to attract way more masculine alpha type men. And that allowed her to be more in her feminine, less intimidating, and more at ease. So it totally changed her game. So if any of this is resonating with you, I know I get a lot of people watching this and they're like, oh my God, I'm totally in my masculine energy. I can't help it. Every time, you know, a man would like ask me, where do you want to go on a date? I don't know how to answer that question, because I immediately get pissed off because I want them to plan it. Can't they just plan it and like tell me, be ready at 8 o'clock and wear a black cocktail dress because we're taking you here and there and wherever tonight? Like, that's what I want. And I'm like, well, you will get those types of invitations when you step into your feminine and you really ooze feminine. You know, they'll want to test you and they'll want to ask you, you know, what do you feel like doing tomorrow night? And then you'll be like, by all means, offer an opinion. Ooh, you know what I feel like having? I feel like having Thai food. I'm in the mood for like pad Thai, and I haven't had Thai food in forever. So I would love to go to a cool like Thai food place. Do you know of one? And then you let them be the man. You let them go hunt. You let them be like, oh, okay, let me go on Google. Because you're going to give a man a problem to solve, right? This is how you get rid of that intimidation factor. Because intimidation factor is this, right? You would respond something like this, very masculine and very emasculating. Oh my God, I worked all day and now you want me to plan what we're going to do tomorrow night? Like, really? Can't you just figure it out? Can't you just date me? Can't you just come to me and say, tomorrow night, be ready by 7, wear something pretty, I'm taking you out. It's a surprise. Can't you do that for me just once? Right? If you did that, then it would put that guy on like the defensive. It'd be like an icky, disgusting energy, and he'd probably say, you know what, suck a bag of dicks, because we're just going to stay home tomorrow night. I don't need this shit. I can sit my ass on the couch, watch Discovery Channel, and tune you out. You don't want to do that to your man, right? What you want to do, ladies, instead is you want to give him a mission, a problem to solve. So when he says to you, what do you feel like doing tomorrow night? You don't get in a tizzy. You don't get all masculine and fighty. Instead, you answer naturally and say whatever you want to do. Like in my example, ooh, you know what I was thinking about doing tomorrow night, baby? I crave Thai food. I haven't had Thai food in 6 months. Oh my God, that would be so fun. Do you know of a good Thai food place around here? Have you heard of one? Oh my God, this man is going to be on a mission. He's going to be like, let me go to Google. Let me go on Yelp. Let me research. My woman, she wants Thai food. Hunter, I must go and get Thai food for my woman. If I get Thai food, I get sex. Therefore, Thai food for my woman, right? It's a problem solution mindset, and that puts your man in a masculine energy because they want to provide and protect. They want to provide a solution for the woman that they love, right? So you just basically spun it. You got him to be on an assignment, and now you can go do you. You can do your thing. And then he comes back later and he says, tomorrow night, you and me, Thai food. You found a place? Yep, we have reservations for 8 o'clock, you and me. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Yay! Then you go in your closet, you pick out an outfit. Baby, which one do you want to see me in? This or this? Which one? You pick. Surprise me. Ooh, okay, date night, it's on. And then you like pat him in the ass and you're kissy kissy. See, whole different energy. Whole different energy. And ladies, no more intimidation. Instead, inspiration. This is what we want to do for the men in our life. We don't want to intimidate, we want to inspire. So I am hopeful that this message helped you so much in your dating adventures. My dating adventures are off to a very, very good start. There'll be more news on that when I go public with what's going on in that aspect of my life. But I will say it is very good. It is very delicious. And it's just getting better and better with every day. So I'm Lisa the Love Coach, here giving advice about dating and relationships, self-love, masculine and feminine energies, and all the crazy stuff that people are dealing with when it comes to love. You can find me at lovequestcoaching.com and take the free Love Life assessment there. Check that out. You're going to love it. I come at you with specific answers to your specific questions. So head on over to lovequestcoaching.com, check out the free Love Life assessment, and if you like this video and you think other people in your tribe would like it too, by all means, hit the share, click the like, and I will see you again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.